My name is Joe Navarro. I'm a retired teacher, and I taught in this district for 15 years, beginning as a bilingual teacher and then English immersion teacher. I've only taught, like Michael, kindergarten, first and second grade, and those are considered the nurturing grades, and most men don't like nurturing for some reason. One year I was the only male teacher at Sunny Slope School. My journey, I guess, in education began when I was a child. I grew up in San Francisco, and my learning experience was very negative at the time. I grew up at a time when, you know, they had corporal punishment, and we were hit a lot. And eventually, I was expelled from school, so I never earned a diploma. And then, you know, but I had to work for most of my adult life at that time as a low-paid, semi-skilled, low-skilled worker. And eventually, because of my own children, earned a GED, and then went on to college and earned a teaching credential, and eventually a master's degree. And I did a lot of research, and that's what brings me here. As I did research, I was noticing that the trend in education was moving from teaching children mastery of subjects to teaching children through the drill and skill methods. And in my opinion, it has led to dumbing down the curriculum instead of strengthening the curriculum. Instead of creating a generation of intellectuals, we're creating a generation of robots. And that's very disturbing to me. And so, I don't know how many of you have read my letters to the editor, but I'm the one that writes all those rants about how education is not serving the purpose of creating creative, critical thinkers. And we're reducing the curriculum to language arts and math. Science, it's getting minimized, but you know why? Because in the lower grades it's not tested. Art, even though there are standards for arts, it's not tested. Physical education, it's not tested. Social sciences, not tested in the lower grades. So what do kids do all day? Phonics, over and over and over again. So those are the issues that made me concerned about the larger picture of education. And from my own experience, I always wanted children to have a positive learning experience so they wouldn't end up the way that I did. And that they would be excited about education. So when you ask your children, what did you do today? I'll bet that none of your children will say, we got to read the same story over and over and over again, and that was so exciting to me. You won't hear that. You will hear them say, we did a science experiment, and that was like the coolest thing I ever saw. You know, we learned about this great historic figure, and he was just such a, or she was just such a wonderful person. And so I had a reputation at Sunny Slope School for having, you know, finding a way to squeeze those kinds of things in my classroom. And so those are the things that initially got me inspired to want to run for the school board when I decided to retire. Because now I'm poor. But my heart is still in education. And the only thing I wanted to leave you with is that I agree with the other people when they say that when the budget cuts are coming down, they're being imposed on us. It's not something that this district, I don't think, wanted to do. But the federal government says, if you want our money, you do it our way. But we don't have any money right now. And then the state says, if you want our money, you do it our way. But we don't even have the money to give you the checks yet. And so we're left at the bottom with nothing. But I've noticed a consistent trend. The people who earn the least in our district are the ones that are taking the largest cuts. The classified staff. Then the teachers are taking the next hardest cuts. And the central office administrators are taking the least amount of cuts if you look at the percentages of how it affects the budget. And that's extremely unfair. So what I want to do is I want to utilize my research background, because I always want to look for the best methods of teaching and learning, and I want to use common sense. If we have to make cuts, which I don't want to, but it's a reality, it has to be fair and it has to be equitable, and it shouldn't affect what's going on in the classroom. When I ask teachers, what are you the most concerned about, and parents, 32 kids, 33 kids, 37 kids, 42 kids in the classroom. Is that going to affect test scores? Is that going to affect the ability of teachers to really reach the kids? Yes. So those are the things that I'm concerned about. Thank you.